been chasing shadows in the night. Words echo silent where I hide. Every mirror shows a stranger's eyes, searching for the part of me that's mine. That the sky ignites a spark inside, burning down to wait. In the ashes of my fight, truth is born again. I will rise up like a phoenix from the flame. Find my voice and call out your name. From the roots of what I used to be, I'll embrace the truth and set it free. Blinded by the weight of all my fears, I let them break me, shape my tears. Every scar's a testament to love. Now I rewrite the story in my mind. Yeah, feel the fire burning. I'm no longer turning away from the truth that's calling. I'm alive today. All I used to be, flash of freeness, flies Larry, and set me free. Rising higher, Phoenix, watch me go.
Good morning, good morning. Hey, everyone. Welcome in. Today is Wednesday. I can't believe it is almost the 14th. It is the 14th. 30 days will be Valentine's Day. Holy moly. Hello from Scotland. Jill McKay, welcome in. No talkie before coffee. Good to see ya. Good to see you, Dina. Good to see you, Lisa. Whether it's morning or night, Rebecca, make Chevy square again in the house. Lulu Bell, welcome in. Good to see you too. Good afternoon. Good morning, everyone. I'll tell you, if you've never seen a stream before, I'm Phoenix, your host, and this is Phoenix Talks, and I'm going to shorten all the chitter chatter in between because here we have open minds and we ask the real questions, the unthinkable questions. If this is you, welcome home. And if you are trolling just to scrolling and scrolling just to troll, do it quietly. Find the exit on your own. We make it a safe place for everyone here to come and think with open minds. I give you enough information. I give you the power, and obviously you have free will to choose what you want to believe, but we're thinking with logic. Today we're going to discuss the IDAHO4 case and the moment we all said, OMG. What was a moment for you that made you think, OMG? Oh my gosh, oh my God, whatever you want to say. Oh my golly whiz. What was your OMG moment in the IDAHO4 case? Drop it below. It's not just one moment. It's kind of like a chain reaction of realizations for me. Each one shifted public perception and made people stop mid-sentence and say, oh my gosh. I think this one was my oh my gosh moment right here. I don't know why it's not loading. Let's just give it a minute and see if it will load. Acting up today. Come on. Maybe internet vibes, good favor come our way. And you guys are already off and running. The original timeline was your OMG moment. How could one person take on 6 people? How long you got? We got all day long. The public is safe and we don't have a suspect. The house coming down before the trial. All good. All good. The 8-hour delay. When I learned the time span of calling 911, why did it initially take 8 hours? The 8 hours to call 911. Later in it, was the touch DNA and the other untested and unidentified DNA. Yeah, when Chief Fry started giggling. You know, I would probably have to agree with that, Caleb. It was a little shocker, and I think you're talking about the press conference. And is that the one you're talking about? I'm going to see if I can find it. That was a crazy one. It had to have been early on. He seems like a nice, normal person, but I don't think it was like from an emotional standpoint. It seemed like he was always smiling. Maybe that's just his demeanor. Always giggling. Is that possibly what it could be? Just a happy, jolly looking guy? I mean, it could be. I mean, he's got a sweet looking face. I mean, I'm just saying. He looks like a really cool dude, right? He looks like a nice guy. Um, Let me see if this is the one. I think I know which one you're talking about. Let me grab this and let me share my screen. I feel like I'm going to sneeze, so if I do, I apologies in advance. Let me see if this is the one. Let me see. Let's just see together if this is the one. Let me see what else you guys have said. Mine was, once I read exactly what happened to them, I knew one person couldn't have done this. I hear you, Lisa. Totally hear you on this. They quickly cleared the kids. Exactly. Holy moly. Someone was just telling me this morning. That was unprofessional, they said, in their opinion. Yeah, they said it was totally unprofessional, that they treated these kids like just, oh, well, all these other kids standing around a circle. Wouldn't it be like your first thing to do would be isolate them all, but they're all just standing around looking like perhaps, taking notes. They all go to the police station together. They're all sitting around together. Was it just something that they were not uh, possibly trained for? I don't know why it added that. My internet is so quirky today. It's got to be hump day. They are messing with me. So let's go back to Chief Fry started giggling. Let's see if I can get this one up here. Oh, here we go. Let's see if this is the one you're talking about, Caleb. This is just a news clip of that, so let's watch it.
Right now, let's check in there.
Everybody here?
Everybody here?
My name is Chief James Fry with the Moscow Police Department. I'm going to be reading from my notes today because I want the information you receive to be extremely accurate. We know you have questions, and so do we. That is why we're here. I'd like to thank everyone for attending this press conference. Joining me today is the Latah County Prosecutor Bill Thompson, University of Idaho President Scott Green, Provost and Vice President Tori Lawrence, University of Idaho Dean of Students Blaine Eccles, Latah County Sheriff Richie Skiles, Chief Deputy of Latah County Tim Best, Idaho State Police Colonel Kedrick Wills. The Moscow Police Department would like to extend our condolences to all family members, friends, the University of Idaho, and the Moscow community.
I don't know about you, but this just doesn't feel to me like 4 students have just been brutally murdered by one person, and they're having this press conference. What was this? 3 years ago on November 16th, 2022. This is literally almost 3.5 days after this brutal murder of these 4 college students. And it doesn't have the feel to me that this just even occurred.
This was a horrible crime that took the lives of Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Goncalves. This horrible crime has affected the families, the University of Idaho, our community, our country, and our officers. Agencies that are involved in this task force include Idaho County Sheriff's Office, the Idaho State Police, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Okay, so he did say Idaho County. So that would be the sheriffs, and they are present, but we never hear a sight or sound from them in this case.
As we continue our investigation, we have learned that Ethan and Xana were at a party on campus, and Madison and Kaylee were at a downtown bar. They arrived home sometime after 1:45. If anyone in our community or across our nation has any information about these times,
or across the nation, why would he throw in across the nation? Wouldn't that strike you as odd? He never went to the crime scene. We know that from a different news article that was written. Because they could seen on Taylor, it's 6:30 a.m. And that is one of the, do we know for sure? We are trying to myth bust all these. We don't know, but somebody has caught perhaps an alleged Idaho County Sheriff's car on Taylor Avenue at 6:30. So maybe there was not an 8-hour delay. Maybe there was not a 8-hour delay that maybe wasn't even the case. So let's walk it back a minute, and you've got a great stance phenomenon, Mom. If you walk that back a few minutes and say, oh, the sheriff was there on site. They govern the county. They are connected directly with the FBI. If they were there on site, then maybe this wasn't an 8-hour delayed call. Maybe it was only a 4-hour or 2-hour delayed call. Maybe there was no cleanup. Maybe this was a crime of passion, per the mayor that was interviewed by the New York Times the next morning. If somebody left out the front door and left the front door open, then somebody went out the back door and left the back door open, then that explains the oh my God moment that maybe there was no delay. We can probably say that, perhaps, but I'm going to let this play on because Chief Fry, I remember this interview, he does giggle.
Or the victim's whereabouts, please call our tip line at 208-883-7180.
Now he says, let me just paraphrase here. I got to get a drink of water. He does say across the nation, but they said that, Ethan and Xana, they were at the party, and then Kaylee and Maddie were at the bar. And then he says, basically, if you have any information, they all got home after 1:45. Like he's questioning they got home. Why is he asking the nation? That seems really odd. I mean, you usually ask the nation for calls and tips if there's an abduction, if there's a kidnapping, if there is a missing child. I just feel really strange that he asked the nation.
The facts of the case that we know right now. We know that these homicides occurred in the early morning hours of Sunday, November 13th. Around noon, Moscow officers received a call of an unconscious person. Officers discovered the bodies of Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Goncalves inside the residence on King Road.
Then he says they're inside.
The four were stabbed with a knife, but no weapon has been located at this time.
Was he asking in case someone knew the perpetrators that maybe fled the nation?
There was no sign of forced entry into the residence. Investigators are continuing to collect evidence at the scene. Investigators are working to develop a timeline to relevant events.
So they obviously went forward, developed a timeline. Someone did say a timeline. Their OMG moment was the timeline. And I believe it was the timeline. Let me just take a peek. The 8-hour delay, I think it was the original timeline, was the first response. The original timeline, do you know? Let me just grab it real quick. There was a document that Moscow released to make sure that everyone knew the update. Homicide update on December the 8th. Here we go. They streamlined it to the Hyundai Elantra 2011 to 2013, said to call the FBI. Okay? You guys see that? Yeah, you see it. And then they said they previously reported the 2011 to 13 Hyundai Elantra with an unknown license plate. And it led investigators to the vehicle being in the immediate area of King Street during the early morning of November 13. They released that. They released investigative notes. They were down in, Kaylee and Maddie were down between 10 p.m. and 1:30 a.m. And at approximately 1:40 a.m., they leave, which we see that at the grub truck. We know what time that was. And then Ethan and Xana were seen at Sigma Chi. That was the last time they were seen. But they believed they returned to the residence. They didn't have proof, but they just believed it, which is weird. And then they state that Ethan was only visiting. So here's the crux in this oh my God moment for me. The unconscious person. So what, they were all partying and then they got home and partied more? Is that what happened? And then maybe somebody became unconscious and they walked in and, oh my God, what did you do? We know that Maddie and Kaylee raced back home. Did they find Xana and Ethan? And then what they did was attacked Maddie and Kaylee because they weren't going to be quiet. It just really shocks me. Here's the kicker. At this time in the investigation, detectives do not believe the following are involved in this crime. 2 surviving roommates, male in grub truck surveillance video, that would be hoodie guy Jack S., private driver, the male Kaylee and Maddie called numerous times during the early morning hours of November 13th. Now, this was released on the 8th of December, folks. And we know, per the documents, who the number one suspect was, and that was Jack Decor. So who was the male? How many other Jacks were involved in this case? How many other Jacks were in this case? The male Kaylee and Maddie called numerous times during the early mornings of November 13th. Who was that Jack? I don't think it was Jack Decor. Remember, he was dumbfounded when he was like, I had a call? Really? 17-minute call with Kaylee? I don't remember that. The individual on the lease and an individual at the residence when 911 was called. So they didn't think that any of these people were involved in this crime at the time. No suspects in custody, no weapon located, but everything is safe and sound in the small university town. They talk about the dog, Murphy. Poor Murphy. I really feel for him. Local businesses were contacted to determine if a fixed blade knife had been recently purchased. Well, we know that K-bars can't be purchased locally. We know that by now. If you're looking for a K-bar, you're going to have to go purchase it online because they keep very meticulous records of who they sell these to. Detectives seized the contents of 3 dumpsters to locate possible evidence. They did come back and say they had 113 pieces of evidence. I don't know if it was from the dumpsters or the house itself. And Brad Little gave $1 million for the ongoing investigation, which I told was, well, I think the media said it was for additional security and yada, yada, yada. 113 pieces of physical evidence was taken and collected to the ISP lab. I wonder if we can get all 113 pieces forensic evidence. I'll ask. They've been pretty nice. Approximately 4,000 crime scene photos, which we've only seen a couple hundred. And we have the dollhouse of the residence, not the 3-dimensional scans that they took for forensics. So the ongoing investigation of all this and rumor control. They definitely tried to control these rumors with the gag order, with all the other things that they put in place for officers and attorneys. But these just went wild. The identity of the 911 caller has not been released. Well, we know who that was now. Talking about a double stabbing in Pullman and then the double stabbing, 1 death in Salem, Oregon. Yes, there were other fatalities in the area. They said that it did not appear to be supported or related, which had me going to, were they trying to catch a serial unaliver? Because a lot of this stuff was happening in the college areas. Was there another serial person on the loose? There have been online reports about that Mustang. The red Mustang said it wasn't part of it either. Also, the extensive interest in the other case of the alcohol offense, which was addressed by the officers on the Banfield, says it wasn't a part of it. And then the detectives knew about all the wildlife that was left on people's doorsteps and maybe not related to the murders. So, if everyone is trying to blame everyone, this is my point in my oh my God second moment I wrote down. Everyone's trying to blame everyone else for this unaliving, which I find very suspicious, to say the least. Don't you find that a little suspicious? Speaking of timeline, let's see what he has to say.
Autopsies are taking place today on all the victims so we can continue to gather evidence and solve the crime. Investigators are working to follow up on all leads and to identify a person of interest. Based on details at the scene, we believe this was an isolated, targeted attack on our victims. We do not have a suspect at this time, and that individual is still out there. We cannot say there's no threat to the community, and as we have stated, please stay vigilant, report any suspicious activity, and be aware of your surroundings at all times. What we don't know, the identity and location of the suspect, the location of the knife or any clothing that was worn by the suspect. Currently, we have 25 plus investigators working this case, as well as assistance from the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Idaho State Police. We're reviewing video that has been collected, but we are asking citizens to contact us with any information you may have that will help in this investigation. Once again, we're asking anyone with a tip to call the tip line at 208-883-7180. At this time, I would like to introduce the University of Idaho President, Scott Green.
Thank you, Chief Fry. I'm Scott Green, President of the University of Idaho, and with me is Tori Lawrence. He's our Provost, and Blaine Eccles, our Dean of Students, will be available for questions after all of the statements are made. The crime, to us, this crime and the loss of these young lives is just simply beyond comprehension. While our small community is certainly not immune to such things, it's not a situation our close-knit campus is used to dealing with. First, my deepest condolences to the families. And friends of Ethan, Kaylee, Zena, and Madison. Excuse me. Their loss has been devastating, and they were bright lights in our community and are deeply missed and remain in our thoughts and our prayers. We've been working with Moscow Police since we were notified on Sunday of the crime. We've helped when asked and continually pushed for information whenever possible, knowing that we cannot interfere with the important work and good investigations that are occurring. We just want justice for these victims. Our focus at the university is to support our students and our employees. We are encouraging students and employees to take care of themselves as we head into Thanksgiving break. I want to take a moment to commend our faculty and staff who have been on the front lines helping our students, whether that is providing counseling to those in need of support, accommodating those who want to travel home, or engaging those who find comfort in staying busy interacting with their peers and our instructors in class. Our employees stepped up when our students needed them. While we have relied heavily on the expertise of Moscow Police, we feel confident that remaining open with flexibility to leave allows our students to decide what is best for them. The weeks ahead will continue to challenge us as this loss and the circumstances around this crime become known. We will support each other as we grieve, and we'll move through this together as a Vandal family. Thank you.
I would like to have Colonel Kedrick Wills come to the podium, please.
Now he's with the sheriff's office.
Good afternoon. My name is Kedrick Wills. I serve as the director of the Idaho State Police. And as we have this discussion today, I'd like to express my appreciation for your attendance here, because it's important, vitally important, that we get the information that we have out to the public. Crime knows no boundaries, and these murders have shaken us to our very core. You heard the university president as well as the chief of police talk about this small community, and it's a very close, tight-knit community. And our hearts break for the families that lost their loved ones, the University of Idaho, the Moscow community, and even within our entire state. Be assured, the Idaho State Police is firmly in support of the work that the Moscow Police Department is doing, and we are providing every resource that we can to make sure that this comes to a conclusion, and the person or people that this is responsible are brought to justice. It's so important that you understand that this takes a team effort. This is teamwork with the university, with this Moscow City Police Department, the Latah County Sheriff's Office, the Idaho State Police, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. It takes everybody to be able to do this. And it's a balancing act. It's a balancing act of getting the community the information that they need to have with making sure that we provide a case that the Latah County Prosecutor's Office can go forward with.
What the heck?
Governor Little, Idaho's governor, has assured me that the full weight of all the resources we have within our state are available to Chief Fry and to his team. Our crime lab is also involved with processing evidence, and our law enforcement throughout the region, state and federal agencies continue to provide resources. From the Idaho State Police's perspective, we provided detectives here from this area, as well as detectives from out of the area, state police detectives, as well as patrol resources and communications assistance as well to provide for Chief Fry and his team. Following this this briefing. Our communications director from the Idaho State Police, Aaron Snell, if you'd raise your hand, Aaron, he will be the contact for all press media inquiries from here on out. He'll be working closely with Chief Fry and his team. And we have additional, like I said, additional patrol and investigation resources brought to bear here as well. We want to do everything we can to make sure that this is done correctly and that the people that are responsible for this are brought to justice.
People that are responsible for this, not the person.
So at this time, I'm going to open it up to some questions that I'm sure you have, and we'll do the best we can to answer those for you.
Hello, Chief Ray.
Hello.
Thank you for having us. I'm Amanda Rowley with CREM 2 News. You mentioned that there's an indication that it's an isolated, targeted incident, and there is an individual somewhere. Can you give us a reason as to why there's that belief there is a suspect? And can you also give a little more information on the forced entry? There's no sign of forced entry, but was the door, did it seem like any of the entries were left unlocked by any means?
I'll answer the last part there just because it's at the front end of my mind. We're not 100% sure if the door was unlocked, but there was no damage to anything, and the door was still open when we got there.
And my first question, if
the door was still open when we got there. What? The door was still open when we got there. Oh my God.
If you'd like me to read.
No, I think I haven't. In these cases, we take the totality of the things that we see, and they're very dynamic, right? And they're very big, and there's a lot of information. And we try to take that information, and some of it we can't share with you, correct? But we try to take that information. We try to make the best educated decision we can. We review that as a team with our detectives, along with our prosecutors, along with the university, and we try to make that best decision on that. So we, at that time, believe that there was no a threat, and our goal is to provide safety for this community. That's why we're bringing in the resources we're bringing. We want a close to this, and we want to do everything we can to let the people in our community know that we care. We want them to feel safe. We want them to be safe, and we're going to do everything we can to do that.
If I could add one more question. You asked for videos or anything from the community to help gather that timeline. We obtained a copy of Twitch video, and family members of the Gonsalves family were able to identify Maddie and Kaylee in those videos at a food truck ordering food. Is the police department, our investigators, aware of that video, and has it helped put together that timeline?
We are aware of that video, and it has helped. It gives us a time and space where we know that two of our victims were, and that helps us a ton, and we'll continue to follow up all leads that we can and continue to gather those.
Any indication of a party at the home that night?
And this will be the last one, okay? I understand. Not that we know of, not at the home. We know that the other, let me get the names exactly right here. We know that Zaina and Ethan were at a different party on campus. But that timeline will still help us if other people know about that.
Thank you.
Chief Wright, John Webb with KHQ. On September 12th, there was a vandal alert that was sent out about a potential stabbing threat on Paradise Path. Does this have any connection with what we've seen so far?
Not that we know of it, but we're following up every lead.
Wait, on Paradise Path? Was that the same night? Let me go back and get the blotter while we listen to this again.
Chief Wright, John Webb with KHQ. On September 12th, there was a vandal alert that was sent out about a potential stabbing threat on Paradise Path. Does this have any connection with what we've seen so far?
Did anybody hear about the Paradise Path? All right, let's look at this. Paradise Path. It's right in Moscow. I guess it's right next to, let's just take a look. Paradise Path is 6th Street on the other side of King. That's kind of far. I mean, there's the 8. That is kind of far away. I wonder. Let me just look at this. Let's go back. Let me see if I could see anything what happened on Paradise Path. Flooding issues, Paradise Path, trail, stabbing. Here we go. Never heard about this one. A recent stabbing on Paradise Path. New details. Was this just buried? The attack was described. No, this is odd. I don't see anything in the blotter. Why did they not? Has anyone ever heard of this one? Paradise Path. Has anyone? It's by the water tower. Sherlock Room verifies car arriving at 6. Yeah, we've heard about that. We need to go see. No, I don't see. Let me look at Big Country, Moscow, Idaho, police blotter. Let me look. Paradise Path. A snatch and grab on September. That was the nighttime 57-year-old woman told officers that her backpack around 7 when she was walking near Identify Apartments. She says a man in dark clothing. Here it is. Here's the actual September 24th. She was walking and a man came up and ripped her backpack off and ran away. That's all that was. Doesn't say she was stabbed. What does this news reporter know that we don't know? Obviously more, obviously. Sometimes they are in the area, they hear about these things, and they don't release this. I don't see anything of a stabbing. It was just a snatch and grab. Was it a stabbing? Look at how he responds. Let's go back and watch him. Let's go back and watch this guy. Let's see how he responds. I want to watch his face.
Chief Wright, John Webb with KHQ. On September 12th, there was a vandal alert that was sent out about a potential stabbing threat on Paradise Path. Does this have any
potential stabbing threat?
Not that we know of it, but we're following up every lead. Every piece of information we get, we are following up to ensure that nothing has gone unturned. We want to have the individual identified, who is the suspect of this eventually. So we are literally looking into every aspect of everything.
And you guys have said repeatedly that there's no threat to the public, but we don't know who the suspect is. We don't know where he's at. How is there no threat to the public at this point?
Amen.
Well, that's kind of an unknown. Like I said, we took the information that we had at the time, but we do need to be aware the individual is still out there, right? We need to be vigilant. We need to watch out for our neighbors. We're a community policing community. We've said that for years, and it's a community that watches out for each other. We need to continue to do that until we can close this off and make an arrest.
Why has there been such limited information over the past couple of days? I mean, we're almost 4 days into this. Why has it been so limited?
Yeah, it's a difficult, we have a lot of information coming in, and, you know, we have tried to push out some information through press releases. But the reality is, I probably should have been standing here a day or so ago, but I'm here now. We're going to continue to be here. We're going to continue to give you the information we can. We care about this community. I care about this community. I've worked here for 27 years. I want this community to be the safest community around. So
The mayor's called it a crime of passion. Is there any indication that that's true?
we're looking into every aspect of this. I'm not going to stipulate whether it's one thing or another. We're going to continue to investigate until we have the facts, because really it's the facts that will drive what the cause of this is. And as we gather evidence, we'll get that. So
One last question, if I could, Chief. Have we looked at any boyfriends or any ex-boyfriends, any spouses as a potential suspect?
I will tell you, we're looking at everyone. Every tip we get, every lead we get, there's no one that we're not going to talk to. There's no one we're not going to interview. There's no one that we're not going to look into. And we're going to do our due diligence. We're going to make sure that nothing goes unturned, and that we do everything we can with the assistance of all the resources we have to get a final answer.
Thanks, Chief Fry.
So there were, sorry, I'm Emma Epperly with the Spokes Interview. Hi. So there were other roommates who lived at that residence. Were the roommates home at the time of the attack?
There was other people home at that time, but we're not just focusing just on them. We're focusing on everybody that may be coming and going from that residence.
So since they were home, was it a hostage situation?
No, it was not.
And then
No, it was not.
They didn't call it into police. So were they injured?
They were not injured. But like I said, we're still following up with everybody that could have been in that area.
And how can you say it's a targeted attack if you don't have a suspect?
Like I said, we take the totality of the situation. We try to make the best bit of information we can with everything that comes in, and then we make our decision off of that. So at this time, I'm not going to expand upon that. But like I've said, we do have a suspect out somewhere, and we are looking for that individual to solve this.
Oh my God, we're looking for that individual to solve this. What? That is awkward. Oh my God, don't you think that's a little awkward for him to say? Unless I'm taking it out of context, but listen to what he says.
Like I said, take the totality of the situation. We try to make the best bit of information we can with everything that comes in, and then we make our decision off of that. So at this time, I'm not going to expand upon that. But like I've said, we do have a suspect out somewhere, and we are looking for that individual to solve this.
We have a suspect out there and looking for an individual to solve this when you have two unidentified DNAs that was not the suspects. Yeah, word salad at its best, folks. And now, we're not trying to pick on anyone or pull his words. I'm just trying to get the gist of this oh my God moment that Caleb brought up to us, that he's giggling, smiling, laughing. His demeanor is so off.
Hi, Rachel Sun, Northwest Public Broadcasting. I just want to clarify something you said earlier. Over the past couple of days, the information that we've been getting is there's not a threat to the public. And earlier I heard you say you can't be sure that there is no threat. I just want to clarify what
which one is it
on that at this time.
So we still believe it's a targeted attack. But the reality is there's still a person out there who committed 4 horrible, horrible crimes. So I think we got to go back to there is a threat out there still,
yes,
possibly. We don't know. We don't believe it's going to be to anybody else. But we all have to be aware of our surroundings and make sure that we're watching out for each other.
Okay, and then one other follow-up. I know you said when the call came in, it was for an unconscious person, and also that was a stabbing. It seems, just from an outside perspective looking in, like that would be not the first thing a person calling in would think.
You're right. But the report that we got was that it was an unconscious individual. It wasn't until our officers arrived on scene, went in to do caregiving check on the individual who was unconscious, that we found the scene that we found.
Okay, thank you.
That seems odd. that just seems really odd. We found what we found.
Yeah.
Hi, Heather Roberts with ABC News. Just to follow up on what she asked. So the other two roommates were there at the time of the attack?
All the information that we have from our investigation is that yes, they were.
Okay, but they were unhurt.
Correct.
So is there any explanation as to why it took so long then for someone to call 911? You have surviving witnesses to an incident at 3 or 4 in the morning and the 911 call didn't come until noon?
I don't think I ever said that they were witnesses. I said they were there.
This is like a backtrack moment.
So
whoops, I got caught.
We don't know why that call came in at noon and not in the middle of the night.
Oh man, if I had $1 for every time he slipped up or backtrack. Oh my gosh, guys, this is wild reviewing this again. Listen to what he said.
I don't think I ever said that they were witnesses. They were there. So, we don't know why that call came in at noon and not in the middle of the night.
And not in the middle of the night.
Happened, yes, but that's not how it took place. So that's why we're investigating everything still to try to pull all the pieces together.
Were they one of the people, were they the 911 caller?
At this point in time, I'm not going to divulge who our 911 caller is, just because I want to keep the integrity of the investigation at this point. Okay.
Okay. And last question, are you able to tell whether the same weapon was used on all 4 victims?
That's why the autopsy's done. The autopsy will confirm that and hopefully collect.
Oh my God. Oh my God. We know that there was more than 2 knives found. We know that there was a Taylor knife. I reviewed this yesterday. We know that there was a Kershaw knife, and we talked about this, but I'm going to bring this up since someone popped it in the comments. If you guys have never seen this, there is an individual that looked like he inserted himself in the space, that he may have met the girls, gave them a bottle of wine. You know where I'm going with this. And this individual actually works in a capacity as a chef. And I'm not saying he did this, but I just wonder what kind of knife he has in the kitchen.
Local chef shit.
Does he have a cut on his hand? Can anybody tell? Can anybody tell if they zoom in? I'm sure he'd have some cuts as a chef, but what kind of shoes does he have on?
Oh, fucking local chef fuck. There we go, baby. Machine gun fizzle. Oh, almost got my finger, chef.
Anybody know what kind of knife that is? Just curious, since somebody absolutely put it in the comments. So let's go back. Hopefully they can collect some evidence. That's where we were at.
Some evidence for us, even from those. That's why you do the autopsies, is to try to be thorough and try to gather more. So we'll leave that would probably be something that would come out later.
Okay.
So did he say weapons? Did he say the call was not made in the middle of the night?
Would have we loved for that to have happened? Yes, but that's not how it took place. So that's why we're investigating everything still to try to pull all the pieces together.
Were they one of the people, were they the 911 caller?
At this point in time, I'm not going to divulge who our 911 caller is, just because I want to keep the integrity of the investigation at this point. Okay.
Okay. And last question, are you able to tell whether the same weapon was used on all 4 victims?
That's why we're having the autopsies done. The autopsy will confirm that and hopefully collect some evidence for us, even from those. That's why you do the autopsies, is to try to be thorough and try to gather more. So we'll leave that would probably be something that would come out later.
Okay.
Oh,
Excuse me, Derek Shug, Fox News Digital. Was there anything missing in the home, or were the purses still there? Any robbery attempt, anything like that?
Nothing that we have identified. And I'm going to take about 2 more questions. All right.
Hi, I'm Tim with the Daily Evergreen. I was just wondering, were the 2 other individuals present at the home when police responded at noon?
Yes.
Okay.
Chief, if you don't mind elaborating a bit more on those 2 people. Was it 2 people? What have those people shared about the circumstances of that night, what they saw or didn't see?
Well, I'm not going to go into what they shared that night. Obviously, that's part of our investigation. That's part of the information that we're trying to build our complete story with. So,
story.
At that, as far as that goes, we're not going to go any further into what they know and what they don't know.
How many were there?
We believe 2.
Chief, have you looked into the social media accounts of all the different victims, and do you? We understand that one may have had an account linked to her Instagram account. Have you looked into those accounts? Have you seen any sort of threats made to any of the individuals?
So we are looking at all resources. We got, like I said, the Federal Bureau of Investigation helping us. We got our detectives, our forensic detectives looking into that. We're trying to pull this whole picture. We're looking at everything that we can look at, social media, etc. So to answer your question, yes, we are.
Were the victims all found in one part of the house?
I'm not going to divulge that either. That's part of our investigation. And at this time, I'm going to go ahead and close this off.
Yeah.
But if you'd like to,
they're probably eyeing him.
University,
Stop talking, Chief.
at this point in time.
Who has not had a chance to ask him.
Why would he be answering questions?
Yes.
Oh, thanks. Actually, I had a question for the chief, so I don't know.
Okay, well, you want to pass it?
Okay. What is the university doing to make their students feel safe?
Yeah, great question. At this time, I think I'll turn this over to Blaine, who's been dealing directly with our students and dealing with those that truly still feel unsafe despite some of the assurances and things that we're doing. Blaine?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the question. A question of safety is on everyone's mind right now. We have increased campus safety patrols. Our executive director of campus safety and security, Nick Nichols, is out in the hallway actually here, and so I'm sure he'd be able to answer some of those questions. We have a campus safety escort where students can call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to arrange for a security escort to be escorted across campus during the day or night. It doesn't matter at any point in time. We're also providing resources to students to help them navigate through this from an emotional standpoint. We've had drop-in counseling that has been utilized both in our counseling center as well as the student union building. And we're also supporting students, like President Green indicated, that if they want to leave and go home now, they absolutely can. We're going to support them in doing so. Many students have questions about their academics and whatnot, but this is a very dynamic, fluid situation, and we want to make sure we're supporting students and their families to get through this the way that they need to.
Yeah, absolutely. Washington State University is about 8 miles that way. What would you suggest that Wazoo does to make their students feel safe if they're unsafe?
Yeah, communication and encouraging students to reach out and use resources. That's a fantastic campus. I talked to their dean of students office yesterday, and they are mobilizing their support resources. All campuses have supports in place. Students just need to make sure they're leaning in and reaching out to it. And many times students don't, but we encourage that, absolutely.
Hi, this is Hadia Thark with the Argonaut. This may be a question for Scott Green or Blaine.
Yeah, what happened? Yeah.
8 miles that way, what would you suggest that Wazoo does to make their students feel safe if they're unsafe?
Yeah, the communication and encouraging students to reach out and use resources. That's a fantastic campus. I talked to their Dean of Students office yesterday, and they are mobilizing their support resources. All campuses have supports in place. Students just need to make sure they're leaning in and reaching out to it. And many times students don't, but we encourage that, absolutely.
Hi, this is Hadia Thark with the Argonaut. This may be a question for Scott Green or Blaine.
What is going on with this audio streaming?
Absences are excused. We've asked our faculty to work with those students who chose to go. So we felt this is the best way, to respond, to give as much flexibility as we could to our students and our faculty to help manage the situation. And frankly, I think they've done a very, very good job. Thank you.
Is the university working with the parents or the families of the victims? Are you in touch with them?
They are. I'll turn that back over to Blaine. I know he's been we both have been in contact with the families, but he's been very close to it. And so, Blaine, you want to take that question?
So why wouldn't the chief answer this question?
Absolutely. One of the hardest jobs I have is talking to parents of students who have died. It's the absolute worst part of my job. And so I've reached out and made contact with all the families. We've offered our support, and we're going to stay in constant contact with them. I communicated with them almost every day. We usually give it a little space and time before we reach out, just for the sheer shock of absorbing the loss of a child and what that looks like. But we're going to stay in support of them moving forward for the weeks and months to come, and in whatever capacity they need.
We've talked to a few of them, and they've expressed some frustration with the lack of communication from investigators and from the officials involved on that side of it. Has the university heard that from them? How are you working with them to help kind of close that communication gap?
Sure. I do know that Captain Barrett from the Moscow Police Department is also in constant contact with them. He reaches out to them on a regular basis. From that standpoint, I think it's safe to say everyone, the families most of all, want information, and they want justice. And I can't do anything but honor what their needs are and what they are. Whenever I hear a concern from the family members about what's going on, I definitely make sure I communicate that to the Moscow Police Department. They're very busy. They're working, the men and women of this department are working really hard on their behalf and on our community's behalf. But if I can be a conduit to share information, we're absolutely going to do that.
So odd.
Has there been any update on the candlelight vigil that is postponed until after the break?
I believe it's November 30th.
November
At what time?
We're looking at 5 or 5:30. We're trying to finalize. Well, let me say.
Yeah.
There was a candlelight vigil that was originally scheduled tonight, but because of the volume of students who have left, we want to make sure we're creating a space where they can participate. We don't in this time to do that. So we have rescheduled to November 30th. We haven't finalized the time. We will definitely be sharing that out to our students in our community and the larger community. We're just finalizing some details. We're going to communicate that with the families as well. It'll be on campus. We haven't figured out the location yet because we're going to be monitoring what the weather looks like. We anticipate a large amount of individuals. That being said, we also have two communities that are just providing beautiful support. There's a candlelight vigil in Boise tonight in honor of our lost students. And there's also a candlelight vigil tonight in Coeur d'Alene. And I say nothing but thank you and for the love and support from those.
So this is Eccles. He's the Dean of Students, I believe.
Communities that are supporting us. And we've seen that support come across the country and around the world for the University of Idaho and these families. And so it's a beautiful thing.
President Green, could you talk a little bit about the vandal alert that involved the knife and how the university handled it and what you found in that case?
Yeah, so basically we were just responding to the information that we had from the Moscow Police Department at that time. We have an incident response team. We gathered Sunday as we were notified by the Moscow Police Department that there had been a crime committed. At the time, we weren't sure if they were students or not, and we wanted to provide help to the Moscow Police Department, and we think we were able to do that successfully to help them, identify those students and contact their relatives. So, beyond that, it was just trying to understand what the assessment was of the risk to the campus. And we relied on our subject matter experts, as you've heard. They know more than any of us about this, and then based on that, we started making decisions about how to move forward this week.
Yeah, and so what were those decisions around that initial alert? What was the conclusion you had at that point about the level of risk?
Well, of course, your first, on the first vandal alert, it was high risk. We had really no information, and we asked our students to shelter in place, and until we got the all clear, from, well, it wasn't all clear, but a reduced risk where we could where students could start to move around more freely. We had people sheltering in places like the library, and the Pittman Center, and places around campus, and we didn't want to keep them there all night if we didn't have to, and so as soon as Moscow Police Department determined that it was safe for them to begin moving around but be vigilant, we sent the other vandal alerts.
Yeah, my apology. I was referring to the earlier vandal alert involving the threatening with the knife that happened in September.
Yeah, you want to respond to that? Thank you, Blaine.
So that vandal alert, we had a group of students walking back to Greek Row from a location off campus. They encountered an individual who was not affiliated with the university. They got into, from my understanding, a verbal altercation, and he ended up flashing a knife at them. It was not a stabbing. It was not a stabbing attack. It was a threat, to the best that we know. We sent out a vandal alert warning the individuals of our campus community at that time. I don't have the specific date, but it's out there from that aspect of it. And it's my understanding that individual then later turned himself into law enforcement, and they've addressed what that happens.
So it's not connected in any way to this homicide?
That's a question for law enforcement.
You know who he is?
I know about the incident. I don't know the individual because he's not affiliated with the university. So my understanding, he turned himself into law enforcement. So I can't answer the question of whether he's connected with this or not.
So we want to thank you again for coming. That's going to be all the questions we take at this time. We appreciate you coming and spending time with us, and we will continue to put out information as we have time. And we want to reassure the community that the Moscow Police Department and everybody working on this will do everything we can. We love this community. We've a lot of us have went to the University of Idaho, and we are vandals, and we will do everything we can to solve this. Thank you.
And we just heard from authorities in Moscow about the homicides of the 4 University of Idaho students. We heard from the Moscow police chief, as well as the president of the University of Idaho and the director of Idaho State Police. Basically, they started off this news conference by recapping some of the stuff that we've already known, that the homicides happened in the early morning hours. They have been now referred to as murders, and that the 4 victims were stabbed with a knife.
Right.
And that no weapon has been found at this time.
Right. And, the specifically saying a knife this time around, because before they were originally saying a sharp edge. Yeah. Correct. We also learned that there's still no suspect at a time. And while they still believe this is a targeted attack, they are telling the community to be extra vigilant and kind of walking back, saying that there was no threat originally.
Right. Chief Fry said, cannot say no threat to the community at this time. He specifically said the reality is that there's a person out there who committed 4 horrible crimes. So we have to go back and think that there is a threat out there. But they, as you mentioned, they think it is a targeted attack.
Right. And Chief Fry also revealing that 2 roommates were at home during the time of that attack, which is also something, still so many questions surrounding that revelation as well.
And back to the knife as well. A question was asked about whether police investigators believe that one weapon was used in the murders of all 4. And the chief said that they are hoping the autopsies answer the question if it was the same weapon used on all 4, if perhaps there was more. But at this time, no suspect's been found, no knife has been found, no clothing from the killer has been found. And basically they're scouring the scene looking for evidence.
And I will say there was a moment during this news conference where President Green was also talking about, I guess, that these crimes are beyond comprehension. And you could see that he was visibly getting emotional there, because not only does this impact the families, but essentially that whole community as well, and the whole state as well.
He's choking back tears, understandably, as he called these 4 students bright lights in our community. We'll continue to follow this, of course.
In hindsight, that was probably the weirdest press conference I have ever seen in regards to a quadruple homicide. So What now do we think about the unidentified DNA, the unknown DNA? Who was it? Where did all these other DNA go? What other questions boggles your mind in the Idaho 4? We'll be back with another stream to talk more about that. As always, be well.
If I talk about things that are in the affidavit, and if I talk about things that we're seeking that the state wants to hide, I think that's fair game for the public to hear.
I've been chasing shadows in the night. Words echo silent where I hide. Every mirror shows a stranger's eyes, searching for the part of me that's mine. But the sky ignites a spark inside, burning down to wait. In the ashes of my vibe, truth is born again. I won't rise up like a phoenix from the flame. Find my voice and call